Welcome to the Connection is the Medicine podcast. I'm your host, Eden Shante. Today I welcome a beautiful soul, Gina Murdock, founder of Lead with Love out of Aspen, Colorado. One of the things that I love about Gina is her tireless passion for co-creating community and advocacy for children. In this episode, we discussed her challenge with having children and how that led to her creating Care for the Caregivers, an initiative designed to care for kids through caring for caregivers. I have no doubt you're going to love this show. Let's dive right in with Gina Murdock. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And I just love the setup that you've created here to capture these moments, and we're going to get into so many things in this conversation. And I just thought before we started, we talked about setting an intention.
Absolutely.
And I feel like ritualizing a space like this and creating an intention is so important. So I don't know if that's appropriate, but if you're open to it, I'd love to set an intention, and I'd love for you to set an intention too.
I love it. And that's probably going to become a part of all the future podcasts, is setting our intention live.
Let's do it. Well, one thing that's important to me whenever I've ever done anything is to put my feet on the ground, and we're both crossing our legs. It's like we both sat in these big chairs and we just cross our legs and kind of lean back. But I'm going to uncross my legs and just feel the earth. And really, the intention for me comes from listening inward. And so taking a minute to listen inward and to think, what is it that we're doing here? I mean, certainly there was an invitation to come on the podcast, and it's a beautiful invitation to come and share. And as I was driving down here, I was sort of feeling into what the intention might be for us, because I know we're both really spiritually oriented. And it's always like, may it be of service, may it be of benefit. And so I never know what's going to come out of my mouth, right? And anytime I've ever tried to prepare for something, it's so much worse than just kind of tuning in.
Yeah.
So I just really trust the moment and the experience of our good intentions of coming together to share.
Yeah.
And that what we share today, I just really intend and hope that whatever does come through each of us is of benefit to any of the listeners out there that choose to tune in through, the way that we put it out into the world. Otherwise, why do it, right?
Yeah.
So that's really my deepest intention, is that something that comes through my mind or your body, your heart, is transmitted out into the world and might touch somebody and, shift just a little bit something that they're thinking about in a way that is of benefit to beings, plants, animals, humans, because the topic is so rich. So I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Gina.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree with you more that it's like, how can we be of service? I've been exploring over the last bit of time this whole process of moving from service to self and the ego, the fears and the desires,
Yeah.
to service to other, to moving from the lower chakras up into the heart chakra.
You guys don't know it out there, but when you sit with Eden, you've changed a lot since I've met you, and I haven't spent that much time with you in person. I follow you and your beautiful wife, Deva, but like the beaminess of you has gotten bigger, and I can feel it through the internet. Like I've touched on your little shares and stuff, and I've been noticing and touching in more than in person, because you've been off in Costa Rica and we haven't, collaborated in person much. But just the feeling of you, just to honor and recognize that I know the work that you've done, because I can feel it in your being.
Oh,
And it's really like beautiful.
thank you.
And it is of service, just being in your company.
Yeah, it's such a work in progress.
Isn't it? Like, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Yesterday, I gave a tour of the place, and I really switched it up in the sense that the foundation that we have is an umbrella over this place, True Nature, and Loma Sagrada in Costa Rica is Connection is the Medicine. And so when I used to give tours, it would be very informational. And I just thought, this time it has to be experiential. And it was so great just to connect with everybody and then sprinkle in the information.
Right.
It's like one of the themes that's been coming up is this whole process of being, and not that doing is bad, because we live in a culture with so much doing, but how can we infuse our doing with being?
You got to pull that out. That's a great quote. How can we infuse our doing with being? It's real. That is it.
That's
Like,
it.
imagine, just click the button. That's enough. Meditate on that for an hour. Sometimes the lessons, I think that you're a scholar of Vedanta and you're hosting these circles all the time. Like, I know what you're up to, and just so you know. Like, I've paid attention to what you guys have been doing, and, I'm like, "Oh, philosophy, it's so interesting," but it's, like, so many words, and sometimes,
Yeah.
like, 3 words or 4, and you just sit with it, for me.
Yeah.
Just the way my brain operates, I'm kinda more of a Vata in the Ayurvedic sense, so I'm
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh my god," I get out pretty quickly, and I think the grounding of rooting and connection is the medicine. When you announce that change of the name, which I'm sure it's been, years in the making, and you've had so much intention around everything that you do, but it really, really struck me when that announcement came through, and I got
Yeah.
a email, I think it was, and it's like, "Oh, that's it."
Yeah.
Like, just saying that, connection is the medicine, sitting with that,
Yeah.
and then it's just like you can apply it to everywhere, work, relationships, God, spirit, nature. It's a great reminder and kind of a personal plug, but Lead with Love, it also came through like that. It was kinda like the name of an event when I was doing Aspen City of Wellbeing, which is this
Uh-huh.
other, iteration, but it's like it hit, like, just saying "Lead with Love" is instructive to me, and then I have people that don't even go to our events that they're like, "I just think about Lead with Love when I'm in,
Yeah.
like, a stressful situation," and it shifts
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah.
So, I
It's
think
like
we nailed it.
it's like when the name is the mission and the vision,
Yeah.
you know? It's like lead with love.
That's
Mm.
a life
Yeah.
it's my life's work,
What else do you need?
okay? And I say that because I was wearing the Lead with Love shirt. I'm usually wearing the swag when I'm not right now, and a friend of mine was also wearing a Lead with Love thing. We met at a yoga class, not planned, and I was like, when you're wearing that shirt, you can't be a bitch, you can't be a dick, you just have to, like, remember, and especially if
Yeah.
you're the founder of the organization, I'm like,
Yeah.
you get mad I get triggered, I mean, it's all normal, but
Yeah.
yeah, it makes me remember. That's my intention, like the big overall one. And
Yeah.
then it's a day-to-day practice.
And, back to my intention for us being together as the host, it's about me connecting and with the presence of my own being and holding space for you to let your presence shine, because that's what this is for. It's like we're connecting and we're sharing this connection. And so for me, it's about letting go
Mm.
of what I think it should be and how it should go. And yes, there's a framework, but how can I hold space and just deeply listen to you
Mm.
and hold space for you and hold you so that you can just share and be? That's what I want.
What's so amazing about that is that the connection, just listening to another being is medicine. I was saying that to my husband recently, and I've said it a lot, and it's really, for me, a key in relationship is how to listen.
Hmm.
Connection is the medicine, but, like, listening and holding space is medicine, and, being close, or however you put it based on your background and your areas of attachment and all of our neuroses and things like that.
Yeah.
Just to start to evolve and grow as beings so we know what is medicine for us. I love the term. I really think it, like, applies so well. Like, what is the medicine that I need? Then I can articulate it to my partner and even friends or whatever. Like, I walked in here and you said, "How's the incense for you?" For some people that would just be like, "I can't handle it," but I'm like,
Yeah.
"I love it." It reminds me of, temples and gives me that
Yeah.
sense. And so as we relate with each other and try to find relatability in our lives, it's like that's love.
Yeah.
And, like, connection is the medicine, and we try to, we're getting to that place of love, and I think love is different for everybody, how it hits, right? And you get the love languages and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
It's very complex, but it's also like, get to know what is it that is your medicine. And for me,
Hmm.
listening, like being with a person that can listen as a mirror, but just like holding space is a
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
My wife has been encouraging me to do this
Yeah.
because naturally I just love to listen and hold space.
Yeah.
So I also like to share. I mean, I love sharing too.
It's beautiful. Well, so far I feel pretty good about this podcast.
Me too.
I mean, this
I
is serving
I
you and me,
think
so I
it's a
think
I think it's a win. I think it's a
I mean,
win.
I'm like, my heart is touched. I'm like, you're beaming. It's beautiful. So, why don't we start with this connection exercise that you suggested? And I
Yeah,
love that because it will
beautiful.
ground us too. I'm going to put my feet on the ground and I'm going to move my sits bones into a comfortable seat and close my eyes. And because we're talking about connection as the medicine, something that really speaks to me, especially this time of year, we're in the fall. It's mid-September. It's really like, especially up in Aspen, a little bit higher up, all the aspen trees are turning yellow.
Mhm,
They're really magnificent. So I want to just do a quick connection exercise here that we visualize aspen trees.
mhm.
We live in the Aspen Valley in the Roaring Fork Valley. It's such a gift with nature surrounding us, millions of acres of open space. So just closing our eyes here, if you're able, feeling yourself rooted and grounded into the earth. And really take the time if you're able to do this exercise. I mean, we're so often multitasking when we're listening to a podcast. So just be with us in this moment and feel that connection of the beings that are listening and coming together to connect. Because we sit here together, all of us, in this global community and just feel the energy of the earth. I want to relate something that really strikes me as a beautiful thing, and that is that aspen trees are all connected underneath the ground by a single root system. So as you look at each tree, they look to be individual, they look to be standing on their own with their beautiful leaves. But underneath the surface, each of those aspen trees is connected to one another. And it's unique to this type of tree that all the root system is connected by an ancient root system. And what happens is they feed each other nutrients. If a tree is needing more nutrients, they'll channel their energy toward that tree so that it can become, its full potential. And I think of us as human beings in a similar way. That while we walk around on this earth thinking we're individuals and we're taking care of our own needs and trying to serve ourselves, underneath it all and even surrounding us is a connection of energy, of fibers, of consciousness. And so I invite you in this moment just to connect inwardly to your own heart, the center of your being, the wisdom of the heart. And then just sense and feel if you can channel your energy into the other beings in your family and your community. And it doesn't matter who shows up in this visualization, but just thinking of how could I channel my energy into those beings as if it's going through the bottom of your feet, rooting into the earth and coming into their bodies. And just think, sense, or feel the connection that you have with other beings, and not just human beings, but animals and plants and places that you love. And thinking and sensing of a human being that you know that is suffering right now, a personal friend, a family member, or even someone who has passed. Sending energy through the root system of your body into the earth and up into that being. Trusting and knowing that these energetic connections are real and powerful. And for me, I'm constantly hooked by the news and the situations that are going in the world where there's so much suffering. And one of my practices is to send light, to send awareness into those spaces. So it might be in Gaza or Ukraine or anywhere in the world, your own family. Maybe there's someone dealing with a mental health struggle, a loss. Just getting into the practice of connecting with your own energy, sending it into the earth, and then transmitting and connecting to other beings. How nourishing that is. And as you sit with us here, can you connect with us in real time, even if you're listening to a recording? Because time is not linear. We're sending this intentionality forward that whatever comes through this hour that we spend together is of benefit to each of you. And just thinking about the power of intention in your life to direct conversations, thoughts, words, actions. And may it be of benefit. And may you connect. And may you lead with love. Those are our intentions here today. And we are so blessed and grateful to have you here with us. So we'll just open our eyes and come back into this beautiful space, connecting with one another, and continue this wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So often when I do visualizations, it's this experience of like bringing it up and out.
Mm.
And so to bring it through the roots and through the earth and then send it out is a whole different transmitter. It's a whole different way of transmitting the energy.
Yeah, that's true. I think of that too sometimes, like coming up and out, but it really feels powerful to ground it into the earth.
Yeah,
I think a lot of Fantastic Fungi. Did you watch the movie?
I
Like
did.
the amazing graphic that they
Yeah,
created of the mycelium and the network. So that's real. That's science. Like
yeah,
that's documented that those networks are there. And then the unseen, which is consciousness that we all are swimming in all the time. I think synchronicity is a proof of connection, right? When you
yes,
find those moments.
yes,
And I think the more that you notice that stuff, at least for me, the more that you notice it,
yeah,
And then you start to live in this magical way of synchronicity and I think that that's, to me, a sign that I'm on a path of heart, a path of spirit.
yeah.
And then when I'm not noticing that stuff, I'm really in my own head. And like you said earlier, the ego of like
Hmm.
really ruminating on things, and it's really pretty self-centered. And then if there's a way to open, it's like, oh my God, there's so many beautiful connections out there, but I'm missing it when I'm just in this spinning. And that spinning happens during times of conflict and discord, and
Hmm.
that's natural. But I think to get into nature, like you've said with your intention of the not only the podcast, but the foundation is connection to self,
Hmm.
nature, spirit, and community.
Yeah.
It's just like you nailed it.
You just mentioned these 4 portals, the self, this beautiful temple that we have,
Yeah.
and community where we come together and we synergize. And then nature, which is like, like the
The
best.
best.
And then spirit, which is infusing it all. And it's like we're exploring the mission and vision of these 4 portals, allowing us to experience our individual and our shared consciousness.
Mm, yeah. It's like the knowing that I have, and this is my work to do in this lifetime, is that I know we're all one. Like I truly believe that we're one and that we came from the stars and it's miraculous.
Hmm.
And yet in my day-to-day thoughts, words, and actions, almost every day, I hate to admit this, but it's true, and it's more if I tune into the news, I buy into separation and other.
Yeah.
Like, in a way that creates suffering in myself and others because 'cause I'm
Yeah.
projecting negativity, and it's very political for me. It's like
Yeah.
it's always political. I think that that's the test of our time of these yogis and spiritual people. We can say all this stuff in yoga class in these perfect environments, but you get into the world,
Yeah.
I'm, like, personally really affected by that, like, it
Yeah.
makes me upset, and then I immediately go into separation, and
Yeah.
I demonize that other.
Yes.
But if I were to quiet down and go into a meditative state or a higher state of consciousness, in,
Hmm.
like, 2 seconds, I would just see the being. I wouldn't
Hmm.
their actions would be like, just observing, but I really take it personally, and so I really see that as my work of, like, getting the upset, creating the separation, and then almost mending it by going into a higher state of awareness. I'd like to do it quicker and, like,
Yeah.
not rant about it as much when
Yeah.
I'm getting in it, and I can do that by staying away from the material that triggers me, and I'm also there's something in my humanitarian archetype that doesn't feel right to, like, tune out and just be
Hmm.
like, "I'm gonna meditate," because
Hmm.
it's a lot easier if you go in your, like, cave and meditate, but in the
Hmm.
world with these, you know, stimuli, it's like that's gonna show me where I'm at for my practice and my
Yeah.
beingness. Can I lead with love? Yes, in this beautiful meditation space, no problem. But
Yeah.
how about out in the world with, a very different value system that's coming? Um, yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yeah. It reminds me of an aspect of Vipassana meditation where you're working your inner process of your sensations, emotions,
Mm,
and thoughts. And it's like, how can you welcome them? How can you soften around them?
wow.
How can you lead with love around every arising
Mm,
within you? And then through that practice, how can we expand that out into because a lot of uncomfortable things from our own shadows,
mm,
our own karma, our own ancestry, our own lives and past come up through us for us to meet.
mm,
That's one of the things that's so difficult about meditation. I look at it like I'm like a HEPA air filtration purification system,
that's great.
and I'm just here to like purify what's coming up.
Mm,
But then like projecting that out and expanding that out, how can we lead with love, as you have shared, in terms of people with different values, people with different expressions, and this understanding that this three-dimensional reality is designed to create friction, to rub
mm,
our edges so that we can like work on ourselves through this reflection, this
yeah,
inner reflection and this outer reflection.
yeah. Well, it's like when you're saying that, especially the air filter, what I think of is how we know better, especially if we're on a path of seeking and have some like teachings that we're resonated with. And I would say my filter of authenticity is that if I haven't integrated it, that it feels really obvious. And I
Mhm.
can see that in another teacher too. So it's kind of like when you get a massage or you go to a yoga class, you can tell within like 2 seconds, like if that person is like gonna have it.
Mhm.
And to me, and it's really because of the integration of material. You can be a scholar and read all the books you want, but until it's, like, gone through that filter and, like, it might have to run through 1,000 times. It doesn't just go
Yeah.
through once of, like,
Yeah.
anger, rage, or shame. We're just working on it all the time, and then I think the coolest thing is when it comes through, but you notice it. Instead of it ruling you, you're like, "I see it. There it is again." And then, like you said, instead of turning away from it or making it bad, it's just like being with it. That's compassion. That's the
Mhm.
practice. It's really cool. I'll be 50 next year, which is kinda, like, shocking, but to me, it's like but also there is wisdom because it's like the
Yeah.
stuff is gonna come through the filter for the 100th time, and, like, this time, you're gonna run it through, and it's gonna actually be more pure. And I think that if you think about connection, the more pure the experience is, the more that we can meet each other. Like the quality of connection, when you think about connection being medicine, we meet people all the time and it doesn't really serve like the heart always. It's
Mhm.
sometimes really tiring, like small
Yeah.
talk and like connecting with a bunch of people or
Yeah.
being somewhere you don't want to be. And then the deep, nourishing connection with intentional tribe, like you're gathering with your people. It's like, oh, such good medicine. But like that thing you said in the beginning is still resonating for me. It's like, what'd you say? Bringing the being into the doing.
Yeah.
So no matter what circumstance you're in,
Yeah.
it's like to bring the beingness, just holding space.
You know what I love to envision is that everything is an altar.
Mm,
Everything. Our our waking, our homes, our cars, our workspaces, everything's an altar. And it's like, can I remember that every action, every thought, word, and deed, and I forget a million times a day,
yeah.
but like it's an intention.
Yeah.
But how can every thought, word, and deed, when I'm by myself and with other people, be a prayer or an item that I'm laying at the altar of
Mm,
creation? So bringing the gift of our being into all doing, it's like, it's not bad that there's so much doing, but if there's all that doing without the being, then it's like we're only bringing half of ourselves to the
yeah.
process.
As I've gotten older, it just feels like time goes by so fast, right? So
Yeah.
the more that we're unconscious in our lives, I think the quicker it goes even. But just to
Mhm.
like, mindfulness, all this stuff has been said before in a sense, it's like so much beautiful wisdom is already in the world, but it's like, how do you grab onto it? A lot of this stuff is kind of simple. The more
Mhm.
simple, the better, of just like paying attention and being mindful, or like your thought of being, an altar. I think that's the beautiful thing about Buddhism, the ritual of life and the connection through day-to-day activities. You go in your car, they do a prayer. Every movement is like prayerful.
Yeah.
And that is not part of our culture in America, in the West. And I really crave that. It's something that I am hoping and intending to bring more into my life, whether it's through something like you've done, create a space for that. We've never had a brick and mortar. We're just like a
Yeah.
pop-up all over the world.
Yeah.
And that's really served me for the phase of life I've been in. But I love the anchor of a place. And then you can tell me, oh, but it costs a lot of money to hold a space, right? And it is true. And that's energy. And, do you want to hold that up? But there's a value in that for sure.
It's cool that you and I have been working a similar intention, but I've done it with bricks and mortar and you've done it without.
Right.
And it's really cool. And I've noticed that, I've noticed how you're doing very similar things, but there's space and movement and, there's a lot with bricks and mortar. There's so much behind the scenes to keep the space,
A
hold the space,
lot.
so to speak.
Yeah.
And there's a certain freedom of being able to flow, and you flowed in different places of the world to share
Yeah.
your lead with love and some of the other things that you're doing.
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons in each way, right? And I felt the sort of lack of cohesion of not having a physical space. And I
Hmm.
didn't realize this, but we've been living in France half the year for 3 or 4 years now, since I had my miracle baby twins. But I really do feel a disconnect from my home in Aspen. Lead with Love was born in Aspen, and it came from the Aspen Yoga Society, which was way back when I first moved to Aspen. And really felt disconnected. I mean, I didn't know anybody up there. And I moved into this big fancy house and I was like really out of my comfort zone. And then we morphed into the city of well-being, which was this idea of like serving all the essential workers, because
Hmm.
I knew what that felt like to be like, you know, some of the people that hold up that beautiful, shiny, bright Aspen, Colorado resort, which is gorgeous and fabulous, underneath it all is like almost like a slave economy, of
Mm.
people just like working and working and working to service these massive homes, these massive needs of all these people and this wealth. I was one of the workers, and then I kind of became somebody that didn't need to do that all the time. And I still felt a real connection with that. And so we did this whole initiative to serve like the working people.
Hmm.
And it was hard because they don't have time and they don't have money generally to spend on like health and wellness. So it was kind of like, how can we get to them? And we would go into the workplace. And so we'd offer them some tools for health, like breathing, meditation, and yoga. We know those things work.
So, with the Aspen City of Wellbeing, where you're working with the workers, how can you share with our guests some simple practices that don't require money, that may not require a lot of time, that people can do while they're working, while they're living?
Yeah.
What can you share about, because so many of the people that are listening to this are super busy just trying to make ends meet.
The practices that we teach people, whether it's in Care for Caregivers, which is a recent program we started, or City of Wellbeing, which was really around like city and county workers. I mean, these guys are commuting a lot of times from far away, spending all day in an office building, and then, getting home to their kids and like cooking dinner and going to bed exhausted, like no time for themselves. But what we would teach, and what is really practical, is mindfulness. Some people are naturally more oriented toward like being aware and noticing beauty and connecting with other human beings, that brings nourishment.
Hmm.
But it's really mindfulness, being paying attention and being in the present moment. And I do that through my feet, feeling the bottom of my feet.
I'm going to do that right now.
Yeah, feel the bottom of your feet. It's so if you're a
It's
vata
such a
like
good
me,
reminder,
like you do
like
that and it
just to ground.
it works, right?
It's so important. I
It's
forget
great.
to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it brings you there wherever you are. I mean, we're in an intimate conversation, but, like, I can see my mind wander away and come back, and
Yeah.
it's like, "Come on back," it's a
Yeah.
discipline in some ways just to stay with somebody.
Yeah. Like, especially with this little dog
Like,
yapping
"What's
out
that
the
yapping
window.
dog?
It's like, "Dude, what are you doing out there?"
Don't you know we're doing a podcast? We're trying to be very
I
spiritual
mean,
here and
come
quiet."
on.
Yeah, I think that it's very easy to be in the position that you and I are in. Let's say we have our basic needs met
Yeah.
in the hierarchy.
Yes.
And I wanna just say that I also appreciate that for me, with great, abundance comes a great responsibility. I didn't
Mhm.
have that before. I kinda married into a situation where I got my basic needs met very
Mhm.
well. And it was very disorienting at first because I was used to being in the hustle. I mean, I had 3 jobs in this valley. I was riding the rafta bus up and down the valley every day. I was exhausted. I was
Mhm.
teaching skiing, doing massage therapy, being a news reporter, being a catering person. Of course, it's easier when you have your basic needs met to say, "Oh, just be mindful," and maybe start with your meditation every day.
Mm.
My sister's a amazing mother of 3 kids. She works a full-time job in California, and she's kinda one of these people that pushes on me for my sort of spiritual beliefs. She's like, "It's super nice that you can do that, Gina, like, good for you." Pat,
Yeah.
pat, pat, and I'm like, but I, like, genuinely, like, wanna tell her about, yoga and meditation, breathing, and she's like, "When do you want
Mhm.
me to do that?" I wake up at 4 in the morning, and I commute to work an hour. And when I get off work, I've got my kids, and I need to go to the grocery store, I need to cook dinner, and I'm like, I don't know when you do it. Like, do you wake up at 3 in the morning? No, and so I just put that out there because it is very hard to fit in like a big spiritual practice that can serve your health and well-being. And we know that just mindfulness and breathing and kind of making a choice if the mind is tethered on a sticky thought that's
Mhm.
especially a judgmental thought, like to have the discipline to just energetically cut that and come back into yourself and maybe have a practice of being with yourself. I mean, that's really a powerful practice that I think a lot of us don't know. And maybe it comes through religion or church, I'm not sure. But the most powerful thing of just like going and checking in with your own heart. How are you? What's going on for you?
Yeah.
Because so often there's a lot of ache in there, a lot of pain, and we project it on other people, especially our partner that we're married to or someone in our really close family, and then they get this negativity, but really that heart is sad and it's needing, warmth, but it comes out as anger, and
Mhm.
so I think that having that compassion for human beings, there's something in psychology called the assumption of positive intent. I adopt it with most people, but not really my husband,
Yeah.
and isn't it's like the mirror of my personal relationship is the one that mirrors some of the harder things for me to look at. But it's like you may come at me and say something kinda shitty, and
Mhm.
I'll take it personally and be mad and then create, like, distance and separation. And actually, when I first met you, I think that I had that experience with you. I
Mhm.
remember feeling kinda hurt by, like, probably a projection of something like you were not into Aspen, which I
Mm.
get because I was also down here kinda disdain Aspen. It's like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, I hate Aspen, all these
Did I
rich
make a
people."
negative comment about Aspen?
From what I recall, now I don't have it in writing, but I think you said something like, "I don't wanna get involved in anything with, like, the name Aspen." And I was like, "Oh, ouch." But, like, it wasn't a personal attack, right? But
Yeah.
for me at the time, like, I was really deeply wanting to connect with the yogis in the valley, and I was very
Yeah.
enthusiastic. I was like, "Everybody come together." And it was like, you were over Aspen, you'd been there. You probably, like, did work and just said, "Yeah, that's not for me, I'm going to Carbondale.
Uh.
Carbondale is where it's at." And, there was, like, always this, like, up valley, down valley thing that I was a
Uh.
part of too, and then I ended up in Aspen. I'm like, what am I doing here in Aspen? I don't even like Aspen. I think it's like, ugh." But yeah, the assumption of positive intent is like,
Mhm.
you don't take something personal. It's like the 4 agreements too. It's just like that, who knows what's going on, but I don't need to take that personally, and it's like,
Yeah.
let's assume, like, a positive intent,
Yeah.
and then you're more open to actually receiving the human being instead of getting stuck on what they say or do.
Yeah.
It's pretty magical if you can do it.
I liken that to in early life, we often had to cope from stressful or traumatic situations in our life.
Yeah.
And those coping mechanisms for a lot of people helped,
Really.
but then they kind of advanced through repetitive practice, daily practice, into addictions.
Yeah.
And so a big part of the healing process is how can we certainly feel and create space for the energy that needs to move through us, but how can we also have compassion for that person who needed to protect themselves
Right.
and then continues to do that because it becomes a subconscious pattern.
Yeah.
So it's this idea that even with addiction, there's often a positive intent behind it. It's just that we need to kind of unravel those upper layers and get back to the roots and be with them and breathe love and consciousness into them so that we can integrate that energy, those emotions, and see if there's any false beliefs there that aren't present in this moment.
Yeah. It takes skill,
Yeah,
you know,
practice.
practice. I've become more familiar with IFS and the internal family
Yeah,
systems and the work about parts. I think it's really, it's phenomenal. And
that's great work.
it's great work, and it's great, if we link a few of these things where you think about IFS and, not demonizing those parts of anybody, including yourself, that
Yeah,
there's a tremendous amount of healing that can happen culturally. And or if you think about, like, the Dalai Lama talking about if everyone was taught to meditate as a child, we would end war in one generation. It's true. You can't be in that state of meditative oneness. Why isn't that our goal collectively? I mean, we're living in a culture of violence and againstness and tribalism. It's
yeah,
so deeply ingrained. I mean, you
yeah,
see, like, what we're witnessing now is, like, we know that our level of consciousness as human beings is very low. Just by the chakras, you can see we're in a tribal kind of a tribal us versus them.
yeah,
A lot in America, but all over the world, like everywhere where there's conflict. And it's really that root-based chakra, right? And it's separation. It's me and you, me against you, and it's
yeah.
scarcity. It's like if, there's not enough. And to me, the best work that you and I can do or anyone can do that's on a path of waking up personally
Mm-hmm.
is to be fully committed to raising consciousness within ourselves so that we can raise consciousness within our communities, within our families, within
Yeah,
the world. And
yes,
it's not by preaching and telling
yes,
people. That's the worst, right?
yeah,
So we have to be aware of a condescending nature that comes from the spiritual people. Like,
yeah.
it's like holier than thou and like we got it all. We're so meditative and chill. Like, we're not. Like, inside, you open up the sausage factory in there, we have the same kind of stuff, and it's not pretty, right? Like, it's not, like, all love and light in there. The thing that's different, I think, is, like, a
Mm-hmm.
commitment to the practice of
Yes,
knowing like, we have the light for me, the lighthouse is, like, unity consciousness. It's coming to a place of Christ consciousness, of knowing that we're all one, not just knowing it, but living it through
mm-hmm.
thought, word, and action.
Yeah. There's so much dis-ease
Dis-ease.
within us. Creation on planet Earth right now is in the yogic long timelines. They speak about Kali Yuga
Yeah.
and how imagine a bull standing on four legs and just having that groundedness of four legs. And now take that bull and put him in a china shop and allow him only to stand on one leg and how that bull would thrash around.
Mm.
And it's like we're in the Kali Yuga, we're in the darkest time of these grand yogic cycles, which are thousands and thousands of
Yeah,
years.
it's longer than we'd like.
And
It's like geologic time, like
it's like, there's this process of like realizing that in a way, there's a reason that that's happening
mhm,
because it's happening.
yeah,
Like it's literally happening. And how can we use it in a positive way to not create more of it
mhm,
through projecting back onto it the discomfort that we feel? It's like this three-dimensional mirror that's reflecting things
mhm,
that we are just uncomfortable
yeah,
with.
mhm,
And how can we do our inner work where we're processing, bringing presence,
mhm,
and connecting with that being within, which there's waves on the ocean And as we go deeper and deeper into our being, it's very calm because it's connected to that oneness that you've been talking about. And so even though there's all this happening on the surface, the ocean underneath is still calm. And how can we create space for the waves, allow these waves to do their waving, to do our best not to have that ruin our day, our week, our month, our year, our life? How can we use it to be available to what we're feeling and sensing and thinking, which can be uncomfortable? And that's what meditation practice helps us do.
Yeah.
And how can we use that to reconnect with the presence of our own being, which is love, which is consciousness, which is existence, which is timeless, connected to everything and everyone? And then how can we interface, not in a cave, but in life as a householder? How can we bring that presence to the chaos that we're experiencing? And through that, we're not kind of creating more momentum for that dysfunctional wheel,
Right.
but we're actually being a force of light and higher vibration that supports us coming into the collective consciousness, into the light.
Yeah.
So it's really important from my perspective to be conscious and welcome the triggers that the United States and countries and governments and politics and religion and all of these things are creating. But like, how can we use that as part of our practice? Not try to control or change it, but surrender into ourselves and that being, and then bring the being into our doing.
Yeah.
That's my thought on, that's my experience. That's what I want to do with the chaos, the Kali Yuga. That's just like, this is the dancing Shiva. And so there's these three primal male deities, and there's female too, but there's this flow of creation, which is creation, maintenance, and destruction. It happens with every star, solar system, the universe, people. We're born, we maintain for a while, we die. And it's like, how can we honor the destructive forces that are happening right now and still be in a place of mindfulness and love? And yes, it's hard, but how can we meet the hardness that we feel healing our own karma and the hardness that we see in the karma of the world?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I mean, it's a deep inquiry, and you're speaking from your own practice, but it's like loving what is also something that I think about a lot, because I'm oriented toward the teacher Byron Katie, who we brought here and is an amazing teacher and author. She has the book Loving What Is. She says in the book, what is God. I really got instructed by that sentence, in the sense of what you're saying. It's like everything that's happening is God, good, bad, ugly. Because you can't say all this beautiful love and light is God, and the rainbows and the waterfalls, and then not the starvation and the massacres that are happening. It is part of whatever this design is. I don't think we have the comprehension to understand it. It's so complex and so brilliant, and also so horrible. Like, why are children being raped and murdered? And, that is like one of those things you can really get stuck in. But why?
Yeah.
If there's a God, how could this be happening? But I think what I hear you saying is really that observing it all, attempting not to be in judgment, which creates that dualism, right, wrong, good, bad, but the integrity to stay true to what you know, which is love, right? I think I heard you say this, that it's true for me. It's like, if I know that God is love, because I've felt it in meditation, and if I know that God is love, then I need to live that way. I really need to commit to that, and that's integrity to the path. I feel this alignment of any sort of spiritual seeker is coming into awareness of our essential nature is love, and that love is not just this romantic love for another human being. It's this cosmic love. I've seen myself in you, and really witnessing each other. And it's easy to do that with you, who I find a lot of alignment and values and lifestyle and things like that.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting across from Donald Trump, who for me is a trigger, me and like 70 million other people, maybe more. And then on the other side, he's like a hero. It's like truth has become so subjective.
Yeah.
It's like we were kind of getting to this point, I think, of talking about God is love. Like our goal is to love what is, even though that comes into acceptance and Buddhism and all this really wonderful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to love, genocide, and I'm going to love that, child abuse and neglect and stuff like that. But I think what I can do is apply love to that. Like I can be the presence of love with that reality and not fight against that reality, which is every time you fight against reality, you lose, because what is God. It's like it's happening.
Yeah.
So creating that suffering by fighting against reality is something that I think comes from maturity.
Yeah.
When I was a college student and I was out like protesting more and more idealistic, I was just so into the wrongness of everything. Like it's wrong, and we're out in the streets, and I don't want to lose that fire and that energy of fighting for what's right, but I want to do it in a more sophisticated way, because I've learned, that bringing more rage and anger and upset into the world isn't going to heal the world.
No.
And if I want to heal the world, I have to heal that inside myself. I have to come into acceptance that this is what's happening. Can I bring love to the situation? Can I do what that wonderful guy from World Central Kitchen, he just feeds people in conflict zones. And it's like, why don't you just feed people in conflict zones versus like writing rants on Facebook about how wrong the other side is? What's more beneficial to humanity? Going to be with kids that are being, neglected, serving them like we do at CASA, which is the organization I partnered with for the caregivers. These people are volunteers. They go and they walk with the children through the foster care system because their parents, they're neglecting and abusing them, and it's horrible. But then you could be a CASA and you can just walk with that kid through the system. He's still going to go through the system. It's going to suck. It's bad. But he's got a mentor and an advocate because you chose to take your time and be with that child. I think, just like where I want to be as an adult, as I evolve, is someone who is really serving people and get out of the energy of againstness, because it is actually so much energy that goes toward that. It's not doing anything productive. It's actually making it worse.
And it hurts us.
It hurts.
It hurts us. It lowers our vibration.
So it's hard, I think, because I get a lot of fuel from the anger. I get a lot of fuel for action, but I think I can find the fuel from love. Like, I love that. I love kids. I don't want them to suffer. I'm going to go be of service, versus I hate those abusers and I'm angry and I'm going to do something.
Yeah.
You could do the same exact action from love or hate or love or fear, and the loving action is going to vibrate more and create more of a transformation.
Right. What was the name that you used earlier in our share of the guy who's a spiritual activist, or you used some
Andrew Harvey.
You used a term. What was that?
Sacred activism.
Sacred activism.
It's really a beautiful concept.
Yeah. I also just want to bring into the space, because this is a really important topic that you're discussing. It's like there's a lot going down.
Yeah.
What's the lever for us that has the greatest potential to create good, to serve? Because collaboration and service to others, what's going to help us eventually turn things around and have there be more abundance and more well-being globally.
Yeah.
There's a tribe in Gabon, West Africa, called Bwiti. And they're very connected with the plant medicine called Iboga. The Bwiti people have this part of their spirituality is to try not to spend too much time caring about the things that we can't control because of how that hurts us. Yeah. How can we raise our own vibration so that then we're sharing that vibration, that higher vibration, through space, time, dimension, all of it, as opposed to the lower vibration, which you're speaking about, which is the fight and the anger and the fear, which, media and everything is creating so much magnification of the fear and the division and all of that. But how can we care less about the things we can't control and care more about the things we can control, which begins within ourselves, which begins in our families with raising healthy, good children who then go out into the world, which begins with our spouse, our family members, it spreads out into the community. And how can we bring the fullness of our advocacy into the spheres that we can actually make a difference in, as opposed to letting the global situation impact us so much, which then lessens our ability to have impact where we can have impact.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. And it brings up sort of that cliche of like, think globally, act locally, you know?
Right.
It's like all this stuff is so true if we actually apply it. I think there can be a overwhelm and then an inertness or even an impotence in some way to look at the mass and scale of the problems that you just can't even fathom. How can we ever solve this? It's too big. And it keeps you, because the energy it steals from you by caring about it and like
Yeah.
all that energy, from going into your local food bank or your local neighborhood. So
Yeah.
much to be done. And it's why I had a really profound experience of going through the CASA training.
What does CASA stand for?
It's a court-appointed special advocate.
That's right.
CASA is a national nonprofit, and they basically are advocates for children that are neglected and abused. I was desperate to have my own kids, and I went through this crazy long fertility journey that was really challenging. It's like a 40-hour training of like real difficult court, legal stuff. But it's our child welfare system, and it's like fairly dysfunctional and underfunded. The fact that we're volunteers, I think, is absurd. That they wouldn't have funding these positions. It was revelatory because I'd been doing work with orphans in Cambodia and Haiti and all these far off places, which I traveled to and visited kids because I wanted to serve kids. I was trying to have my own kids and I wasn't able to for the longest time. So I was asking God and Spirit, well, how can I be a mother? I want to be a mother. I felt it so deeply. So I would go into, all these orphanages and just be with children. And I got served by that to some extent, but then it was even more heartbreaking because I had to leave, and you can't adopt all those kids. Adoption is not easy and very fraught with a lot of terrible things too, like corruption. And, so I'd leave the children and they're orphans still. And and I was an orphan mom. I didn't have any kids, and it was just like devastating. But being a CASA in our local valley, it's like, oh, there's kids here that need you. You don't have to go to Peru and Brazil and, Cambodia and India. It's great if you do, but, right here in Carbondale, to serve the people that are here and become part of a network of other caregivers has been so rewarding.
Yeah.
And meeting these mostly women, but some men that are caring for these children and in the system. They're like in the system of bureaucracy. And it is not a beautiful, fun place, but to bring light there, to bring here's some techniques you can do to help care for yourself so you can care for others. It's where that program was born, Care for Caregivers. I can't really get to the children. I wanted to be with the children that needed love and care. I'm like, I want to help the children and the orphans. But, they are protected through various things because of child welfare laws, but they're also isolated because of those laws, and they're neglected and abused even more. But I could get to the caregivers, and by serving those women mostly, I really have had such a feeling of dharma, of being able to connect with being of service to neglected and abused kids, which is something that came through me when I was trying to have kids, and I knew what it felt like to want and yearn for something like that, a child.
Yeah.
I subsequently understood what it must be like for a child to yearn for a mother.
Mm.
And I can't unknow that knowing of what that feels like because I experienced it. And so it just drives me. And it's a pure intention of I want to serve these kids. It's to find those connections that are meaningful.
Yeah.
And I can channel my love and care into that population.
Yes.
Might be more into animals or the environment because of your personal story. And I think that's what I'm looking for in life, is to find that dharmic path that feels like this is your path. And then every day you wake up and you're like, I'm going to do my path.
And I really want to honor you, Gina, because you have followed your passion to work with kids, because I know we haven't talked a lot about it, but there were times in your life when you felt a lack of connection and you moved from here to there and you felt disconnected, and then how that dovetailed into not being able to have kids. And now how are you using your experience of feeling disconnected from community, from friends and such?
Yeah.
Now look what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of sacred activism, is that you are turning your challenge into light. And that's really a big part of the spiritual journey, is not turning from our challenges, but realizing that our challenges are actually doorways home. And you're using the challenges that you went through to really work with kids in such a beautiful way, and work with caregivers who are supporting kids.
Yeah. Well, it's like it required such creativity. I kept hitting so many walls with my own journey trying to have kids. But I think that the learning I had and I still live with is to be in the question. It's like, I'm not going to deny the biological, physiological, like yearning and aching I had to be a mother, even though I'm not physically able to get pregnant for mysterious reasons, right? This journey was all over the place. But it was like I went through a victimized archetype for a long time. I lived in a victim consciousness of like, why me? It's not fair. And I was really feeling like stuck everywhere I would turn.
Yeah.
But then because of the spiritual practice, and I'm so grateful for the teachers and mentors I had that kept me turning toward the question, like, your desires are there for you and for us to inquire and to live. It doesn't mean if I desire a child, I'm just going to get a child, or I desire a job or a house or a career or anything. It's like, we are in this like evolutionary journey each and every day to use the curriculum of these experiences in our life to learn and grow from. And I think that that's the awareness I've had, is I've been on this like journey of ups and downs. And it really is like the hero's journey, which is
Yeah.
so applicable to
Yeah.
all of us who I think have been through hardship. I don't know if you have to go through the hardship to have the awareness and the awakening, but it seems like it kind of has to go that way. At least for the most like potent awareness, the
Yeah.
stronger, like you really feel
Yeah.
that. I know what it's like. Like, I know what it's like for that yearning. I know what it's like to feel devastated, to not have something I wanted so deeply. It's just like so in my body, so in my heart. And to turn toward that instead of away from it. And I say that meaning like when I turned away from it, I closed down. I became maybe isolated and depressed because everyone around me was having kids. I couldn't be near them, like their baby showers, their joy. I would enjoy it in some level of my being, but I was heartbroken on another level. So
Yeah.
I'm turning away from people, and I couldn't find that place to be with that suffering that felt okay. But then it's that compost. I used it. It was so deeply uncomfortable to go into like living that question. I know I'm meant to be a mother. How am I meant to do it? Show me. And then it got very prayerful for me. It got me more quiet. Meditating, sitting still, not easy for me, but it made me sit there because I was desperate. And by that desperation, I was able to connect deeper to a spiritual connection. And then I got the connection I have with the God and spirit through that difficult time. And to me, that's,
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's more precious than my children, but it's as precious as my two beautiful twin girls, which I wanted more than anything ever.
And they're 4 now, you
They're
said?
4.5.
Uh-huh.
But it's like the thing I got through the journey, which was a connection to God, like I'll never lose that. It's the guiding light. And so can I say I'm grateful for the journey? Like in some levels, yes. In other levels, it's like, it'd be great if I didn't have 10 years of my life that I was like deeply suffering through that. But, that's why I'm who I am and how I can do the work that I can do with so much passion and conviction, because I lived through this like dark time where I had to really go and find myself. And so I am grateful for the journey.
And I'm grateful for you, and a human being who has been gifted with resource, and how you've stepped into that and are using it to make the world a better place. That is really magical and really beautiful, to dedicate yourself to your spiritual growth and to be a spiritual warrior, advocate, and all that you've done to help children. I mean, that's a great life.
Yeah. I think that having a life of meaning and purpose, it makes your life worthwhile. And I think that finding that for yourself is the journey. And I
Yeah.
think it's constantly evolving. But when you start to tap into what feels really the most true and live a life of integrity, of saying yes when you mean yes and no when
Hmm.
you mean no, and
Hmm.
you can really create a lot of potent change. And
Hmm.
that's what we all need to be doing in the world right now, because spending our energy in againstness and buying into the illusion of separation
Yes.
is not the path forward for us.
Yeah. That's such an important takeaway
Yeah.
from this conversation and from your personal challenge of seeing what you see in the world and choosing not to be in the fight around it
Yeah.
so that you could take that energy and actually use it in a good way
Yeah.
to support the greater whole. I mean, we're talking about connection, but like the takeaway that's being birthed through this connection is this key piece.
Yeah.
I think
I
it's an
think it's so
important
true.
piece.
Well, it's like if you're an energy accountant, we only have so much energy in our daily life and in our lifetime, which is very short in some ways. It's like, well, how are you going to spend that every waking moment? I told you in the beginning, and it's still true. I mean, it is very true for me that I get hooked into the stuff, the againstness, the anger, upset,
Hmm.
rage, even, and I'm working with it so that I can peel away and not spend my time and energy there, not by bypassing and just saying I don't care, because I care deeply, but like choosing love, choosing love,
Yeah.
choosing love, choosing love. What would
Yeah.
love do? And I put it on my t-shirts, I put it all over my body, I put it on everybody I can, lead with love, because I need to
Hmm.
see it. I need to be reminded. And love is not separation.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So as we bring this meeting, this connection to a close, is there anything else that you want to leave our listeners with about the experience of connection?
Well, I think going back to the beginning of the sort of the visualization and the meditation, it's really clear in my mind that we're this organism and we're interconnected. So really keeping that front of mind. And to me, nature is the best therapist. And so I think therapy costs a lot of money and takes a lot of time. But for most people is to take a moment to go and commune with nature, and
Hmm.
the wisdom and intelligence of even like the aspen leaf. My kids are in preschool, so they're always like really getting tactile with nature. And
Yeah.
it's something that we really lose. That if there's ever a time that your heart feels heavy or you feel in your mind, get your hands on the earth and
Hmm.
your feet on the earth and your body on the earth, and just be with
Yes.
the intelligence of nature. It's free for most of us that live in a place like this, and you can do it. And it's essential to remember
Yes.
who we are.
That's beautiful.
So I would leave it with that, because
That's a great takeaway.
practical and it's freaking works.
N- Nature, the
Yeah.
blessing of Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Tell our listeners 2 or 3 things about how they can get in touch with you, the different programs that you offer so that they can learn more about who you are and what you do.
Oh gosh. Well, we have a great partnership with Connection is the Medicine Foundation. And so once a month we host a gathering here that's free, and it's designed for caregivers, but it's open for anybody. It's the third Thursday of the month
Hmm.
in the beautiful Kiva. So I just highly recommend you go to your website, True Nature or Connection is Medicine, or ours, Lead with Love. Our website is ileadwithlove.org. And it's kind of
Hmm.
cool because the domain Lead with Love wasn't available. And, so we had to get creative, and we picked I Lead with Love, and it's our handle on Instagram. And, I like it because it's like affirmative. So we have all our stuff there. And I write
Hmm.
a monthly column in the newspaper, and I just am trying to encapsulate some learning I've had that I just want to share. And then we, put that out in a newsletter once a month. Lead with Love is a vehicle for me to share the learnings that I have in life, and it kind of ebbs and flows with my lifestyle.
Great.
I had tried to have kids for over 10 years, and I had one embryo that spontaneously split into two. So I have identical twin girls that every single day I get to see the miracle of God and what prayer and intention brings into our lives.
Hmm.
And so mainly I'm in that dharma right now, being a mother.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful, and I don't need anything else. And Lead with Love is also a baby that I birthed.
Yes.
and that I care for. And so I am always asking kind of what's next for us. And right now it's Care for Caregivers, and that program that we've been, feeding for the last couple of years and doing retreats and events for people that work with kids, neglected and abused kids, to try to serve the women and men. But we need more men to be a CASA. Just FYI. So that's a great thing to tune into too, is CASA the Ninth in our judicial district. They're a great organization.
Great.
Yeah. So thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you, Gina. I really have appreciated being with you
Me too.
and connecting, learning more about you.
Yes, and vice versa. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me on Connection is the Medicine. This podcast is sponsored by the Connection is the Medicine Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to co-creating connection to self, community, nature, and spirit. I hope this conversation inspires you to connect with deeper meaning and purpose in your life. To learn more about our offerings at True Nature in Carbondale, Colorado, and Loma Sagrada in Nosara, Costa Rica, please visit connectionisthemedicine.com. Blessings on your day, and I look forward to visiting with you again soon.